Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we have a very exciting new tier list for all of the stories of 2022. I did one earlier this year. If you haven't seen that one, I highly recommend you watching that one first because I will be spoiling what my rankings are in just a second. But after releasing that video, a bunch of new stories have come out, so I wanted to add it for the full list for this year. I made a video about all the stories I will be mentioning today, so these will also be linked up in the corner and also will be on a playlist on my channel. If you are interested in reading any of these stories and you want to learn more, please check those out. Also, please consider subscribing if you haven't already, because I make videos about all the stories that will come out now and in the future as well. So if you're curious if it's worth your time. A few disclaimers I want to give. I will be talking about the story specifically, not per se about the crafting as much. I will be skipping the side stories and all the extras. These are only going to be the main stories. Last time I also showed all my favorite outfits, but because I made videos about all of these stories, you can check it out, my opinions about those outfits in there. Maybe I'll do some special mentions, but I will be glossing over that mostly. And lastly, these are my opinions. Feel free to disagree. It's just the game, so no hard feelings, hopefully. And with that being said, let's whip up what I had last time and let's get into it. Starting off, we're gonna be doing everything in the order that everything came out as well. Unfortunately, I added a few stories accidentally again, like A House of Horrors, Gourmet Journey, and Trendy Times. And I can't delete the images because tier maker sucks, so just ignore that. Starting off with Miss Katie's Adventure, which is a ghost yokai story about a girl who runs a store who loves antiques, and they have souls and they can like transform. I'm not really familiar with yokai in general, but it is based on like the true yokai. I really like the story because it has mini stories inside of the big story and a long running line with the main companions, but it starts off with being accused of murder, which you obviously didn't do because you're the main character, and you're trying to solve that together with your yokai, and depending on which companion you kind of side with is kind of either you'll be like the more the human side and more the yokai side. Is that how I explain it best without spoiling it? It's very intriguing from the start, since there's like, oh, you got accused, what are you gonna do? And like in the first few levels already. The story is also set in old Asia. I'm not sure if it's Japan or China, actually. It's been a while since I read it. The companions in the story are pretty good. I like them because it really feels like they have a soul and they have personality. It's often not that common in this game, unfortunately. The outfits in the story are really nice since they have a lot of color and they're very expressionate. That's how I best can explain it. But like I said, just check out my videos to see my opinion on all of those. I will be doing that again for all the videos. I would say this is a solid B or an A. I think I would have to go with B. I'm in a very indecisive mood today, so it's gonna be maybe switching around a little bit. I liked it a lot, actually. I'm gonna go put it in A. Then we have Hela's Compass, which is a very short story, which is only one chapter. We don't have those a lot, and I would recommend this for a beginner. So the story is about the main character who is a retired navigator. Our dad was also a navigator, but he disappeared and died, and that's why we retired as well. But we get a letter that our dad may not have died because it was an accident, and we can figure it out on this trip, so we join in this navigation group. It's kind of an annoying trope of having like a parent that did the same job and is dead, or like we're like an orphan or whatever. I don't know how old we are in this story, but it's kind of the 100th time that we've seen it, that a parent dies and we chase it. We've seen the same thing in Gourmet's Journey, kind of. I didn't really like that. Also, the companions were whack. It was kind of boring. The world building just wasn't it. It was very bland. I didn't like it at all. There were really a lot of different endings, which was very nice because often it feels like you're having like a fake choice. I did like that. It was all too fast for being one chapter. I didn't like the vibe with the whole story, and the outfits were okay because it was the first time we had like something really sci-fi-y. So if you're looking for sci-fi pieces to work with, this would definitely be the one if you're gonna do it for the outfits. The stories, however, I think is kind of boring. I'm gonna have to put it in D tier, I think, or E. Or is that too rough? I think it's about Ghost Manor level, I would say about that. Next up, we have Golden Age, which is a story about our main character who lives in France, the current time, and we are a curator, but no one wants to hire us. And we go to the Louvre Museum. It wasn't announced as a collaboration, but it was definitely linked to the collaboration we've had in this summer and also this December. We meet this guy who is also one of the companions, and then we go into a magical leaflet and then we travel back in time 2 different times, so it kind of feels like it's 2 separate stories again in one big one, and it is based on historical accurate events. I'm not really big on history, so I wouldn't know, but I'm pretty sure others also have confirmed that it's pretty accurate. Even though it is informative, it's very underwhelming, especially the ending, because there's no character progression. It's basically you reading through a history book twice and kind of like reliving it, but there's no personal development, there's no companion development. I would almost say there's nothing going on, and I was very disappointed with the end. And if I recall correctly, the story was also pretty expensive on crafting, or it's like one of the first ones that was really expensive. The outfits were kind of 50-50 too. I wouldn't say this was my favorite, definitely not actually. I'm gonna have to put this also in D tier. I'm just putting everything like mentally on Ghost Manor level, and I would say it was about the same. Yeah, I didn't like it as much. Then we have Perfect Storm, which was our first pirate story. This one did not disappoint, definitely. This is set in the, I don't know, pirate ages, and we dream of being a pirate. Our parents are putting us up for an arranged marriage, and we don't want to do that because we want to be like our grandma, who was a brave, cool pirate. And before she passed away, she gives us a piece of a map, which is one of 5 pieces, and in the 2 chapters, or is it 3 chapters, that we want to find all the pieces to find the big treasure, which is a special lamp who will rule the seas. So we leave, we steal our wedding money, and then we buy a whole ass boat, and then we go on an adventure. And then in all the chapters you need new characters, and you do stuff to get the different kind of maps, and it's very immersive. The world building is amazing, the characters are great, definitely a new favorite of mine, I would say. The main thing I dislike about this story is the main character herself, because she's such a hypocrite. It's annoying. It pissed me off so much when I'm reading it. So it starts off when she's recruiting. She basically finds Keith, which is one of the companions, and he kind of wants to join us because he just came out of school and he wants to get some experience in. And we don't say it to his face, but you can read the text, and she's basically saying like, oh, he's too good looking to be smart. Girl, who the f are you to say that about someone? It was just so rude. And then later in the story, there's some point where, as pirates, obviously we're gonna rob a merchant boat, and we're kind of like, they're just doing the job and we're just doing our job, so they have to understand, girl, you are a pirate. You are a robber. You're robbing someone. It's not a job. I just thought it was so dumb that our main character keeps thinking that we're so innocent, but at the same time, she's robbing people and stuff. Like, who do you think you are? I really don't like her. Other than that, Perfect Storm is a great story, and I would almost say S tier or A tier. No, it's gonna be A. Yes. A tier. And the outfits have like pirate outfits, which is kind of cute, especially the one that's also in the thumbnail here. Code Whalefall is another sci-fi story that we got quite fast actually after the last one, and this story is about Maya, who goes missing from the universe that the whole story plays in, and we go to another one, and then we come back, and there's like time difference, so it's been 3 years in like the world that we go back to, but it was 10 years in the world that we were. So first it starts already off with some confusion. Are we 13? Are we 20? Are we physically 13, mentally 20, or opposite actually? It's just all very weird. I don't remember correctly, but I don't think they addressed this at all, that we just went to another universe and we came back. And I think it's just Time Princess sometimes really has these big misses on how they start up a story, and I just think Code Whalefall starts off so stupidly. Also, the world building isn't as good, but the main story is basically about, it's basically the typical trope where we don't remember anything from where we came from or where we were, and it's basically, oh, it's a clean slate. Oh, it's how they can just build on the main character, and I feel like it's really annoying that they often like to start off with no backstory. It's kind of dumb. This world consists of humans and then modified humans, which are kind of cyborgy, but they have like electronics in them. And without really like spoiling anything about it, the whole story is basically about these 2 groups of the humans and like the cyborg people. They both have different plans how they want the world to be ruled, and then they go basically plan fights against each other, and then meanwhile you find out what happened to yourself and your backstory, blah blah. I didn't care. Okay, I didn't care about that. The only thing I cared about this story was Ronnie, because sometimes I have these little companions that aren't companions, and Ronnie is the cutest little thing ever, and it don't really explain what or who he is, and I'm really pissed about that. So I hope we ever get like a side story about Ronnie, because I need closure. Also, Mitchell is also one of the companions, and he is so weird. I'm not gonna spoil it. He has one of the endings, and he just says some stuff, and I'm like, why is my main character so drooling over this guy? Because he's so weird. Out of the both sci-fi ones, I do think I like Code Whalefall better than Hela's Compass, so I was gonna say I'm gonna put it in C T. It's about Phantom of the Opera level, I would say, yeah. The outfits were okay. Again, it was sci-fi, it was very creative. So if you're looking for sci-fi stuff, check out this story for the outfits. Other than that, I didn't really like it as much. Then we have Moving Mountains, which was such a shit show that I kind of don't even want to talk about it. I made the video about it and I already quit after the second level because I got so triggered. And it's like the classic, oh, we're women without right, but we want to live differently. We don't want to get married and I want to wear pants like trendy times. And it triggered something, it just woke something in me. It pissed me off so much that I didn't want to read it. So we are about to be married off and we don't want to do that. And then we have, again, per usual, just like in Perfect Storm, an older guardian, like a grandma or like a caregiver who passes away but tells us to be brave and follow our dreams. So of course we do that because we don't want to get married. And then our dad gets sent off because his job is to like fix dams or something. They have a flood in the city and he's going to fix it, but because we denied marriage, our dad gets kidnapped, so we go there to fix it. And then the whole story just takes 180 from we're supposed to be female girl boss to some political boring ass textbook. I'm sorry, I'm so triggered. It's just about laws and stuff and it's so boring. It's so boring. This is going straight to F. I'm just gonna say it right there. I wouldn't recommend this story to anyone. It's so lame. Like, she's there to fix the houses and stuff and there were all these rules and these government people show up and like, I'm here to get some smoochy smooch love stories before I go to bed. I don't want to read about rules just like in Ghost Manor. It's a big pass. I don't know what to say. It was just so bad. It was so bad. Then we have Sisters of the Sea, which is a Little Mermaid kind of time princess spin-off, which is actually done really well. This is instead from the POV of one of the sisters of like Ariel, basically. Our little sister fell in love with a guy and she went to make a deal with the sea wizard, not the witch, and then she went on land and she turned into sea foam and we made another deal with him because we wanted her back and he said we had to destroy a certain item on land and we didn't know what it was, so we just said okay because we just want our sister back. We go up onto land and then all this other stuff happening and we meet like the guy she fell in love with and there's all these other companions and I don't want to spoil it, but this story is really good. I really felt with all of the companions. They were so nice, they had personality, there was stuff happening. Again, there were several different endings that I felt like were very different in what you chose, what it was, and I felt it was very rewarding in the end of how it ended. It felt very complete, which was very satisfying. Outfits were cute, but just like everyone else, very disappointed that didn't add a actual mermaid tail, only like a mermaid style dress. So one little minus point for that, but this is definitely going into S tier. Maybe I'm just mermaid biased because I love mermaids, but that. Then we have the Apothecary, which came out, even that long ago, last month. And this story is set in like a magical world, set with us as the Apothecary, and we work into a guild, and we were very low in the ranking. And to save our spot in the guild, we have to do a commission that no one wanted to do, and that's why we get introduced to Tate, which is now one of my new favorite companions in the story. This story is really great. It's very immersive. There are several companions that have like 3 different paths, so this story has 3 chapters. And like kind of each chapter is like their own companion path. Great world building. There is very much different endings you can get and like different life paths you can take. It's very immersive. I really like this one. As I said, you start off making this commission for Tate, which no one wanted to do, and it was really difficult, but this also comes back later in the story, the recipe that we use, so it's great that it all kind of comes together. This story is really nice. The outfits are kind of whack, but the biggest thing that I have with the story, I know I wasn't going to mention it, but I've talked about it in another video as well, is that it's so expensive. It's not worth it. I think the story is really great, so I'm going to put it in S tier. I'm sorry, but if you haven't read any of the other story, literally any one of them, I would recommend you skipping this one because first of all, it's 70 tickets to unlock and that's only the start of it. It's going to drain all of your materials and I would say it's definitely not worth it if you haven't finished everything already or you are a high paying player because you're just going to ruin your appetite. But the story itself I think is great. Also, Tate, I love you. And then we're already down to our last story, which I got some stuff to say about. So this story only came out about a week ago. I'm nearly finished. I would say good enough not finish to tell you about what I think about it. This is some weird steampunk Howl Castle Beauty and the Beast ripoff. It's like, it's not even a ripoff. The story is such a mess. It's like the AliExpress back alley version. There's so much going on and it doesn't make any sense, and it's almost so bad that it's good, like in a comically way that it's good. Like I said in the video as well, this is about the main character not remembering where they came from, so we have no memory, and then our dad, who doesn't want to be called dad, is being suspicious, and we meet this merchant who seems to know us and we don't know. I'm just so tired of being like, why is our character always brain dead? Why does she has like no memories of anything ever? So we go into this forest where we meet like the biggest furry, I don't know, he's so ugly and who is a werewolf, and he has his stuff to say. I don't want to spoil it, but it's so weird. It's literally like Beauty and the Beast, but then with a furry. So I have this screenshot which basically sums up the whole story. I'm cringing. It's so cringy. It's like written by a 14-year-old. It's like written by the interns while we're all focusing on the Apothecary, and they're like, oh, gotta get another story out, so here's this. It doesn't make any sense. It's not good. It's the worst part is, so you know in Beauty and the Beast they have like this pretty rose that resembles his life basically falling apart. This story has a onion. He has an onion to represent his life that's peeling. You know that scene in Shrek where Shrek tries to explain to Donkey about how onions have layers? That's basically this whole story. And I think it's so bad. It's like funny bad, but it's so bad. If you want to laugh or cry, I would say out of all of the F tier ones, read the Lunar Legend, but oh, this was already my updated tier list for 2022. I will be making one for next year again, of course, maybe in half a year or so. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I will have the link to the tier maker in the description if you want to do this yourself. I would love to know. I've seen them on Reddit before too as well, so I'm very curious to see what everyone's ranking is. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a great day and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!